Howdy, Vine Trippers. I wanted to take just a moment to talk to you about the Texas Wine Lover website and their phone app for both iPhones as well as Google devices. You can actually download this app, put it on your phone, or just go to the website if you're not an app person. And if you ever want to go visit some of these great locations that we've been talking about in the podcast, this will give you a great information about the place before you go. And you'll be able to find other wineries in the area. So if you want to make a day of it, go see several other places as well. You can search by region. You can sort the listings, find ones that are kid-friendly, family-friendly, even ones that host RVs. All kinds of different sortable listings you can find there in that app and on the website. You can find other things as well in the area like restaurants, accommodations, maybe events that are going on at the different wineries. So it's your one-stop resource that goes hand in hand with this podcast to be able to find those great places to go visit. So check out the Texas Wine Lover website. It's txwinelover.com. Or go to their app. You can find it on the Google Play Store or the Apple Store as well. Enjoy your trips among the vines and use that app. Welcome to Texas Under Vine, an exploratory podcast to scout out the best that Texas wine country has to offer. I'm your wine guide, Scott, and I'm here to lead you on an auditory expedition to the vineyards and wineries across the great Lone Star State. Each episode will cover a different vineyard, winery, or wine-related business operating in Texas. You'll hear interviews, descriptions, and details about each location that will excite you to visit and experience them for yourself. Ready to plan a wine tour? Use these episodes to choose the most interesting spots for you and your friends to check out. Most of all, enjoy hearing about the rapidly growing wine industry in the state and what makes our wines and wineries the best. Howdy, fellow Vine Trippers. So welcome to episode 48 of the Texas Under Vine podcast. So this past summer, I was able to take a fun road trip up to the Panhandle area of Texas, up to the Texas High Plains. While I was there, I was able to stop into a fun little urban tasting room right in the heart of Lubbock, Texas, called McPherson Cellars. Now, some of you may have seen this before and thought it was pronounced McPherson. A lot of people do pronounce it McPherson Cellars, but as I talked to the owner and proprietor, Kim McPherson, he did explain to me that it's actually pronounced McPherson as his last name. But it's a fun little location. Now, if you happen to be an avid listener of the show, you may recall a few episodes back, episode 45, I did an interview at the Texas Wine Collective right outside of Fredericksburg. Now, the Texas Wine Collective used to be called 4.0 Cellars when it was first created. And one of the founding members of 4.0 Cellars was Kim McPherson with McPherson Cellars. And he did that with the partnership of the other wineries to get a foothold and a place in the Texas Hill Country, considering the fact that he lives in Lubbock and his winery is based there in Lubbock. So he wanted a chance to get his wines into the Texas Hill Country area. So he partnered with the other two vineyards to make 4.0 Cellars, which we now know of as Texas Wine Collective through a name change a few years back. If you're not familiar with the story of Texas Wine Collective, go back to episode 45, give it a listen, because that's your way to get to McPherson Cellars through the Texas Hill Country area if you're more in the central Texas area. But I was able to actually travel up to Lubbock, Texas, to the heart of that Texas High Plains area and visit McPherson Cellars for myself. And as I said, this winery is owned by Kim McPherson. He is the son of the legendary Clint Doc McPherson, who, along with some other buddies there at Texas Tech, established and planted the first real vineyard in that area called Sagamore Vineyards in 1968. And it really kicked off the modern Texas wine industry. He's one of the pioneers, and Kim got to grow up there with his dad, Doc, doing all these great things, and learned a lot of his secrets from him. Now, Kim's father, Doc McPherson, joined forces with Bob Reed to establish Llano Estacado Winery up there in Lubbock. And it is one of the biggest wineries here in Texas to this day. And in 1983, actually, Kim's brother, who is a winemaker in California, convinced his dad, Doc, to actually plant Sangiovese in Texas. And there in the High Plains, they planted Sangiovese. And now that has become their kind of signature family varietal. And it's there in Sagamore Vineyards. Now, Kim himself really is a huge fan of old world styles, especially some areas of France like the Rhone. He really likes the Southern Rhone style varietals and prides himself on being kind of a leader in Roussanne, which is a famous varietal there from the Southern Rhone Valley. And he's kind of pioneered that and made that his own. Many places love to serve his Roussanne. When I took my Texas wine specialist course with Dr. Russ Kane with Vintage Texas, we actually got to taste Kim McPherson's Roussanne wine as part of the tasting in that course. Okay, Kim got his start actually after a career in food science, and you'll hear more about this in the interview. But he actually left that career, went to UC Davis in California, kind of the premier school for viticulture and winemaking. And he didn't finish there, but he took a lot of the classes to hone his craft and began working at several different wineries in both Napa and then on into Texas as well before establishing McPherson Cellars there in Lubbock in 2007. And when he started, he ended up purchasing a building that was an old Coca-Cola plant to become his winery, to actually just have a place to make the wines. He didn't open up the tasting room for another 2 years, and it's in the same building. And now they have not just a tasting room and the winemaking production facilities there. They also have a cool little event room and an outdoor space. They host different kinds of events. And again, you'll hear more about that in the interview. It is an urban style winery since it's right there in the city. So it can really appeal to a lot of those local and urban minded individuals who aren't as much into wine travel to be able to come in and taste some great wines. And his wife actually owns McPherson Cellars, which is right around the corner across the street from the winery. And it is a really delightful and tasty tapas bar and winery. My wife and I got to enjoy some great food there whenever we went to visit. And as you'll find out in the interview, you can actually go get food there at McPherson Cellars and bring it right over to McPherson Cellars if you'd like to. As for the wines there at McPherson Cellars, as I said a moment ago, Kim really values those kind of old world style. And so you're going to find whites, reds, and rosés there at McPherson Cellars. But you're going to find sometimes some different types of varieties that maybe you haven't heard before. Kim likes to explore and play with different types of varietals. But his wines, especially the reds, you'll find, again, have that real elegant kind of old world style, usually a little bit less in alcohol than others, and maybe even a little bit lighter in color, more of the old world. They don't do a ton of extraction like you might do in some of the other places we have here in the United States and other areas where they do heavy extraction on the grapes. And in addition to those great wines, when you come in to do a tasting, they also have, like I said, a lot of events throughout the year. They can host weddings. His daughter had actually got married there about 3 weeks before I did the interview right there in the cellar. So they have different types of events. And they've even been nominated twice as a semifinalist for the prestigious James Beard Award. So Kim really knows what he's doing with making these incredible wines there at McPherson Cellars. And proving his pedigree, Kim is also the man behind some wines you may have seen on your grocery store shelves that aren't necessarily from McPherson Cellars, but he's the one behind them. So if you've ever seen some wines in the grocery stores that are called TX wine, so it's just got kind of a round label and the letters TX on it, like a Texas sign. Kim is behind that wine. He'll tell you more about that in the interview. He also is behind the Federalist wines. If you've seen those on your grocery store shelves, he's the man behind those as well, making those wines for those labels. So not only is he making amazing wines for his own labels, he's making for others as well. You probably would be hard pressed to find another winemaker in the state of Texas that's more exquisite and more well respected in the things that he does and has more ties to the amazing High Plains wine growers and vineyards we have that are at the heart of almost all of the Texas wines that we're producing in this great state. And as I said earlier, I was able to make that road trip up to Lubbock to actually sit down and hang out in the tasting room a little bit with this incredible legend of a man, Kim McPherson, and his hospitality director, Maddie White, joined us to hear a little bit about his story, to hear about how McPherson was started and the lineage with his father. And then we also got into the amazing tastings that you can do there. Maddie was able to step in and give us some more of the information about their events and their wine club and so forth. So instead of me just talking about the fun interview, why don't we go straight to it now? All right, Vine Trippers. I'm here at McPherson Cellars with Kim McPherson, and we're going to hear a little bit about this incredible winery here and his history, his background. So let's turn it over directly to Kim. So Kim, tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get into the wine industry?
Well, it's a long story, but we'll make it short. Okay. My father started the modern day Texas winemaking in 1968 by planting Sagamore vineyards.
Okay.
He had 148 different varieties with his good friend Bob Reed. They were both tech professors. And my dad's vineyard is now in the city limits.
Oh, wow. It's still active.
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
That's another thing I think. We have torn it all out.
Okay.
Replanted it.
Okay.
To San Jose again. It was in very bad shape. We've had some, let's just say, some dicamba damage and some other stuff. And so, anyway, the best thing to do was just start on this.
Okay.
We looked at all the angles.
Yeah.
And so my dad started all this. He founded John Estacado Winery in 1976. And he and Bob Reed were some of the first stockholders. And they got a bunch of people, lawyers who got in on it. A woman out of San Antonio by the name of Jean Orr, those were the big investors.
Okay.
And so they started doing Estacado Winery. But they had to build it outside the city limits in a wet precinct. People don't probably remember what a wet precinct is, but that's where you could build a liquor store here. You could not build a winery in a dry area, a dry county or any of that. So that's where they built it there. And they built it out of brick because my dad said people are going to shade this up here in the Bible, and they did.
Yeah.
And so everything was inside, and then they began to recruit growers, and they had no problem recruiting growers. After my dad found out what would really grow here, they had a lot of them started growing vinifera. Some of them had hybrids, but vinifera really took off because those are your main wine grapes. Now, if you go back east, you'll get the hybrids, Bacamor, Chabot, Vigno, there's a bunch of, and he planted, after he pulled all that out, I wish, sometimes he had some stuff in there we wish he kept, but I was young, we didn't know. He planted Cabernet Sauvignon and Sauvignon Blanc. But back then, it was a lot cooler here.
Okay, good.
Back in the late 60s.
Yeah.
It was very, very different climate.
Okay.
And those varieties tend to work. But as the climate changed, and I know it has, because I've been hearing. So we took a turn, and my little brother, he's a winemaker in California, got my dad to take San Jose, and that was in 1983. And he was first gotten to do that. So San Jose was the main grape from my dad.
Oh, okay. That's his signature.
Yes, and he had a little bit of Cabernet left, pulled on the Sauvignon Blanc out, and put in San Jose.
Okay.
And it's an Antinori clone, what he had, and it did very well.
Okay.
So that's what he had mainly.
Yeah.
And then everybody else around here starting, there was Chardonnay, ever vinifera known. And it was...
They put it in the ground.
Put it in the ground. There was no free laws or nothing, and just to see what would grow. Chardonnay actually had a very nice beginning here, and it just it got too old for it either. Plus, it budded out very early, and he was always here in the spring fling. So that drew out of favor. And finally, there was a grower by the name of Andy Timmons who came in, and he was young, and he planted all the cool stuff that I call cool. Merlot, Grenache. He did have Merlot and Cab, but he had Viognier, he had, all these other funky varieties that we never, up here on the high plains what works the best.
Yeah.
I have to say that Richard Becker's really helped Viognier, made it a variety that was made of certain.
Yeah.
So he helped all of us out. I'm going to take Roussan's side of that. Nobody knew what Roussan was.
Yeah.
Until I hit the Reserve Roussan and all that. But the Viognier is probably our best white variety. I might get argument on that, but I think it works very nice up here.
Yeah.
Because of the heat. Okay. And Sangiovese works up here because of the heat.
Mm-hmm.
They started that in Napa. Antinori started a winery called Atlas Peak.
Yep.
And it was too cold to grow Sangiovese. I know it sounds weird, but it was. And so they failed at that, and they sold the winery, and now that's Cabernet now. But Sangiovese is mainly planted in the Paso Robles area where there's the heat. Yeah, where there's a lot of heat.
Okay.
So
it does well in those warmer climates.
Well, if you want any kind of color, the flavors of that, it needs some heat on it. So that's our flagship red.
Yeah. And so your dad got that, he got yellow started, he got that all going, and then where do we go from there?
I wasn't around when he was doing a lot of this. I have a food science degree.
Oh, okay.
Texas Tech. And I was in food research. I worked for a company that we did, we invented new stuff. We're the bad guys in the food business. I mean, we invent, ding-dongs and Doritos.
Yeah.
Stuff that's good, but that's bad.
Well, thank you for inventing ding-dongs, because those are one of my guilty pleasures.
Well, that's one of our deals. That's food science.
Yeah.
And so
innovation, that's where you get innovation.
And I was working for a company in Dallas, and I was working in their cheese plants back east in Wisconsin, going up there and doing stuff, coming back to Dallas. And anyway, long story, they laid a bunch of us off.
Yeah.
They laid about 130 of us off, and I was one of them. And so my dad sent me to Davis to go to school. I have a concurrent degree. I do not have a full-blown BS degree.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get a master's.
Sure.
He wanted me in and out.
Yeah.
So his friend, who was the head of the department, Dinsmore Webb, got me hooked up as a concurrent. They call me a concurrent student. I still get. I got a thing the other day. They're saying I'm an alumni. I'm going.
Okay.
So my daughter's an alumni, but
just they want their money.
Yeah. Anyway, so I went to all the vet and enology classes and soil science stuff. Basically, spent 2 years there and got. You could have probably had another BS degree, but I stayed out there, and I loved it out there.
Yeah.
And I got into grapes, and I went to work at Trefethen Vineyards.
Okay.
In Napa, and I really didn't want to come back. I mean, it was very nice. So from there, I had to come back.
Okay.
And went back to Llano.
Okay.
And worked there for, about 3 years. And then I left there, and I went to Bonham, Texas, with a winery, had part of that, and we all had a big time, and we were rich guys there, all that. Anyway, we went belly up. They sold the winery, and I went back to California.
Okay.
So I went to the Central Coast.
Yeah.
And then I stayed out there, and in the meantime, Cap Rock Winery, which was called Tasha, was built, and my dad was part of that, but he got out of it because he didn't like the way it was going, and that was all right.
Yeah.
And they were in operation maybe about 2 years, and they went belly up, and the bank took them over.
Right.
And the bank was Plains National Bank, and it was founded by a guy I grew up across the street from, Alan White, and he phoned me out in California. I know, he phoned me out in California. He said, man, I got an offer you cannot refuse. So I came back and, the winery is incredible. I hadn't been in it. And that's how it was just beautiful. It was designed by an engineer that put in Robert Mondavi's Woodbridge plant. Very nice winery.
Yeah.
Anyway, took it over, and we had that for 16 years.
Really?
Yeah, and did pretty good with it. And the bank owned it. But then the regulators came in and said, no, you guys can't be doing this. So they sold it, and that's when I left.
Okay.
And I started my own.
Yeah.
And I started McPherson Cellars.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so when did you start McPherson here?
I was here in 2007.
07? Okay. And have you been at this tasting room location the whole time?
Yeah.
What made you choose this location? We're kind of here in the middle of Lubbock.
Well, I didn't want to be out of the city limits. I didn't want to have to deal with well water. I didn't want to have to deal with a septic system.
Okay.
I didn't want to have to deal with electrical problems. Some places you can't get 223 phase.
Okay.
I mean, up here you could because of all the irrigation, but I decided I wanted to be an urban winery. And this place, I looked all over town, and I had an eye on a place down here that the city owned, which was a generating plant, but it had so many pollution problems that it was going to be over $1 million to clean it up. And I said, I can't do that. And a guy told me, he said, hey, man, you ought to go look at the old Coke plant. And it was pretty much a wreck, but a guy was in this building.
Yeah.
And he was selling snacks, chips. I don't know what he had a food service business. Yeah. And anyway, we approached him, and he said, yes, I'll sell it. And he really didn't own it. A woman owned it, and she sold it.
Yeah.
So I got it in 2007.
Okay, cool. And then I presume McPherson Cellars, you chose to name it after yourself?
Well, I named it after my family. And my dad.
Yeah, your family.
Yeah.
And then I guess this would be a great location because being in the city, you get, of course, customers coming in. Do you ever?
Well, that wasn't my intent. My intent was I had water, I had sewage, because this is a zone C4, which is manufacturing. I had electricity. I had everything I needed.
Yeah.
This was a little thing. Well, I'll do this later. I built the winery back here first.
Sure.
Then this came.
Okay.
This came about 2 years later.
You ever get anybody shooting at it at your own place?
No more shooting. And we were a wet precinct then.
Okay, yeah.
Well, actually, no, this was a dry precinct when I put it in, but they'd passed a law where a winery could be in a dry precinct.
Yeah.
And my wife owns Ladiosa Cellars.
Okay.
Right across the street.
Okay.
That's a winery. And she was here before I was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's 20 years old over there.
Okay.
But we have an alternating bond with her, so we make her wines here.
Oh, okay.
We made some over there, but she wanted more room, and so we had to move out. So we put her over here.
Okay.
So we make her Sangria over here.
Okay. Awesome.
So anyway, I've been here, since what, 14, 21 years now? Yeah. Going on 20. Yeah.
Coming up on it. Do you have your full production facilities here on site then?
No, I have my barrel warehouse down the street.
Okay.
Yeah. I would have barrels in this beautiful room over here, but they use it for many events. It makes more money than barrel storage.
Oh, yeah? You do more events than there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, my daughter just got married in here 3 weeks ago.
Really?
3 weeks? Yeah.
Wow, congratulations.
So,
that's great.
Thank you. Anyway, our barrel warehouse is down the street in an unassuming building that you would never think that.
But you have your full crush pad here and fermentation tanks, everything that you do here on site?
Everything. Bottling line, the whole work.
What about your fruit? So do you just source from other vineyards? Do you have your own vineyard? Or?
I did, except, my dad, Sagamore was out right now. Yeah, we have one vintage in bottle that we hadn't released yet.
Okay.
A 22, but we don't have a lot of it. But we have, I'm going to say 6 to 7 growers, sometimes 8, depending, that I've used over the years.
You got it right here in your backyard. So
Right.
it's very easy
It's
to
very easy.
monitor and get all that. Whereas where I'm from, down in the hill country area, they got to.
It's a logistics problem. Yeah.
It's an interesting. I was in Russ Kane's specialist of wine, Texas wine class, and he was just talking about the unique nature of the Texas wine industry, where 80% of the grapes are grown here, but 80% of the wineries are here, and so you've got this 6-hour, 7-hour kind of difference between the fruit being harvested and then put on trucks and down and all that.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
That is a major problem.
Yeah,
Quality-wise, it's a major problem.
put it on ice. And for what I understand, in my limited knowledge, the fruit basically starts fermenting as soon as you've harvested it off the vine, and so you got to try to get it here
and
down there.
These growers, they have these really incredible pickers.
Yeah.
Everything's machine picked.
Okay.
Well, 99% of it is. And they use these little picking bins, and it's a real labor nightmare for them and problems. And they would rather pick in gondolas, but
Right.
there's only one or two wineries down there, 2 or 3 wineries that can handle gondolas.
Okay.
We have our own gondola truck because that's what we pick in. We rarely pick in bins anymore.
Really?
Very rarely.
You're talking about those like 1.5 tons.
They're like 3 ton. Big. No, those are about a ton.
Yeah.
Maybe a little white picking bin,
Yeah.
1,100 pounds.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, in a gondola, it's 3 tons.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen those.
Well, it's just easier for them to dump in,
Okay.
and they just keep picking and dump. Now, here on these, they got to load all the little bins up,
Okay.
and then they got to have a forklift and load the trucks,
Yeah.
and it's like, and it's not in the cool. It's and so you've got logistic problem.
Okay. I gotcha.
So we have it really nice where our grapes get here, 7 in the morning. They were just picked maybe an hour and a half before, 2 hours, and
Yeah.
they're in the barn. We have we do stuff now for some wineries where if they buy fruit from our big grower Leahy, Jerry Weevil, they'll bring the reds up here.
Okay.
And we load their bins for them here.
Okay.
We order it into their bins.
Yeah.
So it helps Jerry.
Yeah.
And on certain friend wineries that we have, we just fill their gondolas up. Their little bins, load their truck up, and it's gone.
And then they can take off.
Yeah, so there's no, it takes out probably 3 hours or 4 hours of crap for them to, load and do and blah, 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 and, you have to dump all your bins down there.
Yeah.
Jerry said if we were doing something like that full time, he'd save 40% on labor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. I know you talked about your wife's wines here. Do you do custom crush for anyone else, or do you just?
we Spencer and I started a small business last year because Leahy was, they were asking us to see if they could help us out because they had wineries like Grape Creek.
Mm-hmm.
They have Becker. They have some bunch of clients, and if we could process fruit up here.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of problems up here with other facilities and
Okay.
problems. I don't know, labor problems, all kinds of stuff, quality problems, and so Spencer and I, we leased a space down there,
Okay.
and we hired one of our interns last year to run it, and it worked out really well.
Okay.
And people were real happy.
Yeah.
And we're doing that here this year.
Okay.
We actually bought a brand new press,
Yeah.
a Diame it's the number one press they say in Napa. I don't know, but it's a nice press. And we're going to do that here. And we were looking at building a facility up here just to do that.
Yeah.
We don't
Tank space. You got to have a lot of things. Oh, Jim, I do the
No.
press this in the juice.
I'll press it into juice and cold settle it and put it on a tanker for you. But no, we don't make your wine. Reds, the reds, we had a real ambitious plan to build a cold storage room.
Okay.
And you pick your reds, and we would put them in bins and put it into cold storage at 34 degrees for 2 or 3. You had to get it out of there in 3 days, and then it would be cold soaking.
Yeah. And
then you just load a truck and haul it down there.
Yeah.
But we we ran into a lot of people like, they didn't want to do that. So we decided not to do that. But they do like their reds and rosés pressed out.
Yeah.
I think it may come around.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting.
So,
Well, as a winemaker, you've made lots of wine in your time, I presume, and through your history you shared. So what are some of your favorite wines to make as a winemaker? What do you like working with? What's the fruit that you really enjoy?
well, I love Sangiovese.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two would probably be Carignan,
Yeah.
because that was my dad's second favorite grape.
Okay.
And then I do like to make whites.
Okay. And you mentioned Roussanne a moment ago.
We do a great job with Roussanne, we do a great job with Viognier, but we make little things like Trebbiano. We made our first Pinot Grigio last year, if you would believe that. We like Verdelho, Picardan, Picpoul, Albarino. I was the first guy to have Albarino.
Really?
Yeah, two ladies started growing that in Brownfield years ago. And that grape does very well up here.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I think we make very nice whites.
Yeah.
We make the reds, I think, are more on a old world style.
Okay.
They're not extracted. They're very few of them are over 14. Okay. They're 13.8, 13.7, 13.9 alcohol. We have a Petite Syrah that's, a lot of our wines, the reds were in Texas Monthly as some of their top wines. And, we have elegant reds.
Yeah.
And the Petite Syrah is more like a Derif you could find out of France. It doesn't have, it's not California style. Mourved's the same way. But more of a Bandol, kind of without the Brett, maybe. That's how we do our reds.
Okay.
And my daughter, who's in Napa, and she has a degree in enology from Davis, but she doesn't make wine. She hosts.
Okay.
She hosts for Harlan Estates in Napa.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And she's kind of our guiding light here. Huh? She helps us out in our tasting room and the kind of glasses we use.
Yeah.
Because she's one exam away from being a master somm.
Oh.
But anyway, she thought that we needed to make 100% varietal reds in a small fashion. So
okay,
we started a block series red wine.
Okay.
That we only do 7 to 10 barrels from our blocks of our growers.
Mm-hmm. So that's a specific section of the vines of the vineyard. That's a block.
All right.
And yours come directly from that.
And then the rest of that block goes into La Herencia or Lake Capon Red, the round blend we do.
Okay.
But we take Mourvèdre, we have a Grenache, we have a Syrah, we have a Petite Syrah, we have a Carignan, we have a Cinsault, we have a Dolcetto, we have a Montepulciano. We even made a Malbec, which was against my grain. But
why is that?
Because I'm not a real Bordeaux guy.
Okay.
If you want a Malbec. But this is a French-style Malbec.
Okay.
We haven't released that yet, and then we have an Alicante Boucher.
Oh, okay.
And so those varieties show the what we can do and how we can grow grapes up here with the good growers that we have.
Yeah, and very different characteristics.
Oh, they're beautiful wines.
Yeah.
And those go, though everything's in French oak that I have. And,
Okay.
we have a block series Tempranillo.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
That 100% Tempranillo. That from one vineyard last year or the year before? It was incredible.
Mm.
It's got to be incredible stuff, or it just goes into the
blends and things like that.
Yeah.
So this is the best of those blocks.
Yes. Right.
Okay. And then, what are some of your most popular wines with customers? What are the ones that people just keep them? You can't keep stocked on the shelves and it's like that.
Is the most popular probably. Now we introduce the block select wines. Those ones are cute. So the Tempranillo, the Cinsault is a big one. And what else do you have? The Picpoul Albarino. So those whites as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned pick pool. That's I've started trying pick pool. The lip stinger.
Well, I was the first guy to get it because of Andy Timmons.
Okay,
I had him grow it.
I really love pick pool.
He grew it for me. He had 2 acres of pick pool and 2 acres of Marsanne that he planted from. These vines came from the through Washington from the Tablas Creek collection.
Okay,
So they're French, French, and they were very expensive. And Andy always told me he could have put in 8 acres instead of 2 acres with something else.
right.
He can't propagate the vines either.
Oh, really?
No, it's illegal from Tablas Creek, the family, the parental.
Oh, wow.
So he planted that for me, and it did very well. I mean, the second year we had it, it was the best white at the International in San Francisco, and Anthony Diaz Blue and Tim McDonald called me up and said, "What are we doing over here in Texas?" And I said, making pick.
Making great wine here.
The Albarino did the same thing for me. We had the first Albarino, and it won grand champion at Pacific Rim. And I judge all these competitions.
Okay, yeah.
But I enter these competitions not to win the medals so much as to see
How you stack
a
up?
benchmark on, this 23 Albarino that we just bottled was the double gold and best of class in L.A. out of 12 Albarinos.
Wow.
And so what does it see? So we may not enter that again.
Yeah.
But see, what does that tell us?
Yeah.
Well, we got a double gold. That's great. But guess what? There was 12 other Albarinos, and we don't know where they were from. They were California, Spain, we don't know.
Okay. All over the world.
Yeah. So we were the best. And so, okay, we can do Albarino.
That tells you something.
So that's what it tells me.
Okay.
How we do. And so, we win medals, and we see how we stack up.
All right.
And I wish more people would enter these to see how their wines stack up.
Yeah.
But they don't ever win medals. Well, maybe you're not there yet.
Maybe that should tell you something that you need to keep.
Maybe.
Keep making yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I judged 4 times last year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you talked about your barrel room where you do events there. Do y'all do any other type of events here in the tasting room or event?
Oh, they do everything here. We do. I don't know. There's an event out. There's a wedding. What is that out there? A wedding shower party? Yeah, that's a big thing.
So doing like a wedding shower? Or
we have
like
a lot of rehearsal dinners.
Okay.
We're not big enough for a giant wedding, but we do really nice, small.
Sure.
Small
gathering.
Small wedding. Well, here's my daughter's shit. Excuse me.
Oh, you're fine.
There was 170 people.
Comfortably 150.
Yeah, about 100, 125 wedding.
Okay.
And it's good.
Yeah.
And they do a great job. We've kind of gotten into that. I don't know how many we do a year. Somebody told me you do 30 weddings a year here, maybe.
You maybe do 2 events a week for a lot.
Wow. Really keeps me up and going over there.
So it's a nice facility. It's downtown.
Yeah.
And it's
makes it
easy to get to. Yeah, that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
A lot of these wineries are out of the city limits, and you have to drive, and some people get a little worried, a little scared, and so they don't. We had that problem out at Caprock when we first started doing events.
People nervous about.
Oh, the bank used to throw huge events.
Okay.
And they had that winery lit up like an airport, and it was a joke that, the highway patrol, when the lights go on,
they all park.
And it was like, oh my God. But, they still did it. They had huge. In the bank, they spared no
expense, huh?
Flour.
When you're a bank, you just go back to the vault, get a little bit more money,
Oh, they had some great big things out there. They had huge weddings.
Yeah.
So, it was a fun deal.
But you got a nice tasting room here with a lot of room for people to sit and enjoy, but you also have that great event space then for people to do those events.
This room it gets too crowded now.
Yeah.
Which I never thought it would.
Okay.
Never.
So during your regular tasting room hours.
And then we put them out in the Sagamore House.
Yeah.
Out there, the little building out there.
Okay.
that's really for private tasting, but sometimes we have to overflow there.
Yeah.
I never thought we'd fill this up
Wow.
in Lubbock,
Doing
Texas.
something right.
So we do. We have a pretty decent wine club. I'm not.
Okay. Tell me about your wine club.
What we do on our wine club is that, and it's a big thing with us in the back, is that we give Maddie all the weird stuff that you'll never see.
Yeah.
You may never see it in retail.
Yeah.
Like the Pickard.
Okay.
The Pinot Grigio will be gone.
It's a very exclusive place to get some of those wines.
Verdelho. Oh gosh, we just we made a little wine called La Escuela.
Okay.
It's a seafood wine.
Okay.
And we only did, I don't know, that was in the wine club shit. And that I'm gonna have to make it again now, because we make this stuff.
Okay.
We go, we'll just, and all of a sudden, Kim, you're gonna have to make it again.
Yeah. The demand is there now.
And so we have a Hermitage White that we made because I had Marsanne and Roussanne left over, and I thought, well, we make it once.
Yeah.
No, we have to make it every year.
Standard.
Yeah, but we only do 250, maybe 300 cases top. Okay. And that wine is wine club and on-premise consumption.
Right.
Restaurant is what we try to do on that.
Yeah.
And restaurants like that.
Okay.
Because, if Total and Spec and all these other guys don't have it, they love that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Even though, they like that idea.
Yeah.
But we do all sorts of weird little things. We do an Il Fratello red. Now we're going to have to do an Il Fratello white, which will be an Italian white blend.
Okay.
The IFB is gone now, so we're going to do an Il Fratello. The Queen, the natural wine we make for, I'm in 5 states.
Okay. Well, that's going to be my next question about distribution. So
Yeah. I'm the only guy, I have 2 wholesalers.
Okay.
And I've been on the East Coast in D.C., Maryland, Virginia for 13 years.
Wow, okay.
We just started New York and New Jersey. Been there maybe 9 months.
Yeah.
It's done very well.
Good.
These guys came to us. Actually, they sent a guy out here
Yeah.
to check to see if we were real. We've been semifinalists in the James Beard Award twice. And who nominates it? We don't know. You may never know, but I think why we got nominated for what we're trying to do with Texas wine is, I can tell people, you have Cabernet now. No, you want Cab, go to Napa.
Yeah.
Go, if you want Chardonnay, go to Sonoma.
Yeah.
We don't do that. Sauvignon Blanc's too hot. Yeah. Don't grow Riesling. I don't do Gewurz. I don't do a lot of this stuff because it's not.
For this climate.
Well, it's not. And my daughter, being the somm, I'd give her trouble like, I had this guy plant me 5 acres of Gruner Veltliner. And she go, Dad, you didn't. I go, yeah. No, really.
Give it a try. No, you just use it.
Heck, I wouldn't make Gruner here if you paid me. It's too hot.
Yeah.
You're not, well, anyway. It's like how you look.
Yeah, I got you.
And so I don't like looking like, Albarino's probably the coldest climate grape we grow. And my daughter describes it as more of a Portuguese style.
Right. So more of Albarino.
Yeah, a warmer climate, a little different than the Iberian Peninsula. But, the funny story about Albarino, my Albarino grower got hailed one year on one side of the vineyard. Came in, and so the other side of this vine row, the grapes were fine, but it was all uneven ripening.
Yeah.
And so they said, what are we going to do? And I said, well, we're going to make a Vino Verde.
Oh, okay.
And so they said, what do we do? I said, we're going to wait, and then we're going to pick all of it.
Yeah.
And it came in at 17 bricks. And I said, great. And so we made a Vino Verde, but I couldn't call it Vino Verde.
Right.
So I called it Verde Verde. My nephew is an incredible graphic artist in San Diego. He does murals all over the country. He did the label.
Nice.
And so, guess what? That took off.
I was about to say,
and guess what?
Wanted it.
We had to make it again. And so I had to go to my growers and say, look, pick this part of the vineyard now, and we'll wait till later
to pick the rest.
Albarino. And so we were doing that. So on the 3rd year, I got a letter from the Portuguese government
Oh, no.
to cease and desist. I couldn't have Verde in the label.
You couldn't even use Verde?
No.
It's the word green.
So, I said, you know what? That's a good time to stop it. So we did. But it was popular, and we had fun with it, and it was a great wine club. Yeah, I got the FedEx.
Oh, God.
So they said,
Well, that's a feather in your cap right there. The Portuguese government saying, wait, this is too good. People are going to get confused.
they did. They said, no more. They said, sell out what you got, and we won't pursue you. Okay. And I said, you know what? I could tell them. I said,
I've got 12 million cases.
no,
I've been have several minutes.
I said, you know what? I'm not going to fight that. Yeah. I mean, I was, it was kind of we had to carbonate it up a little bit.
Yeah.
We had to bottle it real cold and use a special screw cap. And so it was kind of a pain in the butt. But it was fun. Made incredible wine, but, played out.
Yeah.
So that's one little deal.
That's a very exclusive then.
Then Dave Finney came to me, who started The Prisoner.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day, sold it.
Yes.
He came here on a sales thing. He wanted to talk to me, and we had lunch at La Diosa, and he said, I want you to make a TX for me for my location. So I said, TX?
Yeah.
Said, okay, tell me about all
That's the bottle label at the TX. So
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
So we talked about it for a year.
Okay.
And then he said he'd come out to St. Helena, came out there, and we cut the deal.
Okay.
And he wanted my name on the back label too.
Yeah.
I said, fine, whatever you want. And the only thing that we could not put in there was Tempranillo.
Interesting. Why is that?
Well, I found out later that one of his partners in that was Coronel in Spain. And they didn't want any Tempranillo.
Gotcha.
And so that was after he sold it.
Okay.
So we did that for 5 years.
Okay.
4 years with him. Or is it? Yeah, 4 years with Dave. And he always approved the blend. It's mainly Rhone, Mourvèdre, Petit Syrah, Carignan, and it could be non-vintage. And so he always loved the blends. We were the lowest alcohol locations wine.
Okay.
And we only did, I guess the most we did was 1,500 cases those last 2 years, and it was good. Everybody, everybody goes, can you sell it out of here? No, it's not mine.
Yeah.
Everybody thought it was no. We made the wine. He approved the blend.
Yeah.
And all the glass and everything came here.
Yeah.
And we bottled it.
Okay.
And then Dave calls me up on the following vintage and said, hey, look, I sold everything to Gallo. I said, really? I said, so I guess I'm out. He said, no. He said, Gallo wanted to know if you could do 30,000 cases of that. I said, yeah, my whole winery was red.
Exactly.
And I said, no. He said, I told him you probably couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But got a letter, got a contract from Gallo, still under contract.
Okay.
Anyway, they said they're going to be sending people out and they'd let us know.
Okay.
Well, they never let us know. They just showed up one day.
Ah.
And we were bottling.
Yeah.
Not TX, we were just bottling our own wines. And these 4 guys they were blown away.
Yeah.
By how, y'all are doing this, we have nitrogen, we have all this stuff. You see our bottling line. And
for their big corporate world,
they were like, my God, you guys are, we were only doing a few things that they wanted us to do.
Okay.
And I was like, we can do that, no problem.
Okay.
And so it was a Gallo product, and we did that for 2 years.
Okay.
Might have been, it might have been 3 years.
Yeah.
And Gallo could not grasp the logistics of this thing because, E was made in Spain, F was made in France, and so it is all the same glass and all the same label and all the same box, and it was just a different concept. And so it was very hard. That last year we were going through all kinds of, we were going to redo the bottle for everything.
Okay.
They dropped like 5 locations. They kept Texas.
Okay.
They had 8 locations, and they kept Texas as one of them. And they were, gosh, it was just turning. Finally, they decided to kill the whole project.
Okay.
And so we saw them at the show this year in Sacramento. The guys, I said, "Hey, whatever happened to locations?" He goes, "Well, Gallo's easing that out." I went, "Oh, okay." So I don't know what
we don't know the future of it now. Huh?
No, but they were, it was. I mean, that bottle, the packaging alone on that was probably close to $28 a case without any wine in it.
Wow.
I mean, it's French glass.
Yeah.
I mean, really nice.
The real deal.
Cork,
Yeah.
tin can. I mean, Dave, he's
he's
a marketing
right thing,
genius.
right?
I'm telling you.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he did. And so, but in the meantime, Terlato out of Chicago came to us,
Okay.
and we do the Federalist.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Really?
And we thought that was going to go by the wayside, and no, it's
still going.
huge.
Yeah.
Well, no, it stopped for a year.
Oh, okay.
The people that were doing it, I don't know what happened in Chicago. I don't know anything about it, but they came back. The people came back and said, "Hey, can you still do this?"
Hmm.
Yeah.
They shelved the project and somebody else.
Well, I don't know. They're doing 6,000 cases a year with it.
Okay.
Terlato.
So they do, and I've seen the Texas Federalist stuff. They do, I guess, is it kind of like the TX? They do different places, versions of the Federalist? Or is it all Texas?
Texas. We're the only Texas winery that anybody came to. Okay.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, they taste the blends.
Okay.
Everything's sterile bottled. That was a Gallo thing. Everything's done right.
Yeah.
They send the glass, they send the cork,
Okay.
the capsules.
And you just make the
we
blend and put it in.
We make the blend up, send it to them.
Yeah.
They love it. We bottle it.
Okay.
We've got 3,300 cases to do in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then we'll be through for this year.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I don't know. I mean, we're out of red.
Yeah.
Yeah, that took a lot of red from us.
Do they provide, and just weird to logistical questions, do they provide the fruit for that?
No.
Do you work out the contracts for the fruit and say,
I have
how
to
much
do all
it's
the
going to be? Or,
contracts.
okay.
Fruit.
And do they pay you for the fruits?
No, they pay me just for the wine.
Just for the wine, okay.
It's already made into wine.
Okay, and you've got it built in for you.
Well, no, and some of this may not go to the Federalist.
Okay.
We pick out of our wines,
Yeah.
like, well, this would be good for the Federalist.
Okay.
Or this would be, da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Gotcha.
And
You treat it like it's just another one of your kind of own lines of things.
Right.
And you decide from your great pool, okay, this is what we want here.
Right.
This is what we want here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they go, ooh, we love this blend.
Yeah.
We try to keep it consistent every year. That's the big.
Yeah.
So I would say the main grape in that's Mourvèdre, which is one of my favorite grapes. Period. That's incredible.
Is the Federalist vintage or non-vintage?
It can be non-vintage, but we've been keeping it vintage.
Okay.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah. They changed the label.
Yeah.
From Sam Houston.
Okay.
To a Texas saying, and they call it, that's not my deal.
I think I've only seen the label that I said Houston on it. I guess I've seen the new one yet. So
it's
completely different. Like we had.
We had to bottle 900 cases the 23rd of December.
Oh, okay.
To get this major order out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
Well, and that's like, you make a ton of money on it? We do okay, but it's not really for me. Sometimes it's about the marketing.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, if we're good enough to do that for these guys,
that says something.
We could go nationwide.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Gallo always has projects. Up their sleeve, and they had one right after we got through with TX, and it was a major deal. And I'm not going to go into it, but it was a pretty cool project.
Yeah.
But they decided to shelve that for right now. Mm-hmm. And so, it may come back. I don't know. But it involved us.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I like to think of it as a kind of a tide that could rise all boats if they wanted to be.
Sure.
up there without holes in them.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to do that,
If your boat's able to float.
well, and so that's the thing, and so I think it's a good thing for Texas
Absolutely.
to say, man, you guys can grow incredible Mervet and incredible,
Yeah.
Canadian and stuff like that, and I think we do.
Great for those growers and all that.
Oh yeah, it's a good thing for the growers.
Yeah.
So that's our deal. I don't look at it like, man, the TX thing was big for, I think was big for Texas.
Yeah.
All in all, like, and Gallo said they went all over the state and
Yeah.
they seen people around. They got all kinds of things going.
Right.
So, I said, how did you pick us? Why'd you pick us? Well, Dave Finney, for one, but then I said, so what's the deal?
Yeah. Did they taste your wine somewhere, or were they?
We sent 4 cases of wine back with those guys.
Okay.
And I said, they're going to run analysis on them. I said, no. We let everybody taste them.
Yeah.
And that's where one of their winemakers from the Central Coast called me up
Okay.
and said, hey,
Yeah.
I'm da-da-da-da-da. I'll trade you a case of wine for a case. I said, ooh, I'll get the deal out of this. I got Pinot Noir.
Do I get to pick, right?
No. I mean, he's had some, Gallo has some really nice wine.
Great properties. For
Yeah,
sure.
so, and so that's how that project started with the other deal. So we're happy. We're Spencer takes care of these guys.
Yeah.
But we bottle a lot of wine for people.
And then you talked about distribution up on the East Coast with dates and things like that.
We're D.C., Maryland, and Virginia.
Yeah.
And
then you're in stores and restaurants all over Texas pursued.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have hopes for, and you talked about maybe bigger national picture, do you have hopes for bigger distribution?
I was in South Carolina for about 3 years, and I had a pretty good little following there.
Yeah.
And my wholesaler died. I had a small wholesaler, and the guy died, and his son didn't want to run it, and it just disbanded, and I had another wholesaler lined up. I got invited to the Charleston Wine and Food Festival, which is a big deal.
Okay.
And we found another wholesaler there.
Yeah.
But 85% of his business was restaurants, which I thought that's not bad.
Yeah.
And when we got on the plane, that was March of 20.
Yeah.
And what happened? It's COVID City.
Yeah. And the pandemic just shut it all off.
The guy called me up and said, Kim, I'm sorry. I said, hey, man, I can dig it.
They're not even buying wine for restaurants right now.
No
guy. They don't
We don't know
have
what was
customers.
gonna happen. I hadn't even gone back.
Wow.
I'd like to be back down there.
Yeah.
I mean, pig pool is unbelievable.
Really?
Oh, they drink more pig pool in South Carolina than any other state.
Interesting.
All kinds of pig pool. You'd go into a wine shop, there may be 10, 12 pig pools.
Really?
They love their pig pool. They love it with the oysters.
Interesting. Oh, I can see that for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I bet go over well at that food.
And my wife, who's from Los Angeles, she loved going down there.
Yeah.
Never been to the low country.
Yeah.
And the food, of course, was incredible. And
Sure.
so, anyway.
Cool. Well, do you have plans for future growth here?
No.
Okay. You like cite the distribution thing. Do you like what you're at, where you're at?
Yeah, we're not getting any bigger here.
Nothing bigger, nothing, no new big projects.
No.
All right. Well, I'm joined by Maddie White, the hospitality director here at McPherson, and she's going to fill us in a little bit on what tastings might look like here at McPherson. So when a listener's getting excited, they're up in the Lubbock area or they're visiting this area and they really want to come in and try some of the McPherson wines here, what does that look like as a tasting? So what can they expect for, what does it cost? What type of wines are they going to get? Is it a set flight of wines? Do they choose their wines? There's a lot of different things that can go into that. So what does a tasting look like?
Yeah, so when a customer walks in, we give them multiple options. We offer them, a tasting, a glass, a bottle to enjoy. Typically, if they've never been here before, or if they're a member, they will come in and ask for a tasting. So we have 2 options now. So we have one standard flight that's a mix of whites, rosés, and reds, and it's 6 2-ounce pours. And so it's a mix of kind of anything. So it changes every single week. I pick the wines and kind of make sure to flip-flop every week and add anything that has been newly released in the tasting room, any, previous wine club releases, and I mix it up that way, and that's $15. And then we have an all red wine flight, which is all of the block select wine. So because we've had a couple of years under our belt of releasing those different labels, we have enough to do a six wine flight, and now we're able to have the capability to switch those out as well. So that's $25 for that flight.
Okay.
Yeah, so people may sit down and pick their flight. They can do, say a couple walks in, one person can do a standard, one can do a red wine flight. So kind of whatever they're feeling. So yeah, in terms of how many wines we have here, we have at least 30 different labels right now. So a mix of anything, kind of like Kim was mentioning, the Grenache, the Carignan, the Tempranillos. We have a whole mix of really great Texas wines, and then whites, rosés, sparklings, dessert wines as well people can have. So a good mix of everything.
Yeah. Well, you hear that, listeners? So if you've been here for a tasting before, you come back the next time and you can have a whole different set of wines that you taste. So you got to come back multiple times to do tastings here.
Yes, a great variety of majority dry wines too. So.
All right. Well, what are your typical operating hours for the tasting room?
So during the summer and then the late spring, it is noon to 7 p.m. Okay. And then on Thursdays, we have patio nights from 6 to 9 p.m. Okay. And then starting in the fall and winter, we do 12 to 6 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
What months do those usually switch? Does it vary, or
It's usually about October to April we close at 6, and then the May through August would be closed or open till 7. So.
And as a backup, they should check your website just to make sure that.
Yeah, all updated times, and also our social media. I try to keep that as updated as possible as well.
Well, for the tasting room here, is it family friendly? If somebody has somebody under 21, can they come in? Or what about pets, things like that? If one wants to bring their dog by? Or
Yeah, we're very family friendly. You have to be 21 to be able to drink here, but kids are welcome. Dogs are welcome out on our courtyard. So I don't know if that was mentioned yet, but we have a really nice, comfortable courtyard with shading and fans, and we have doggy bowls upon request as well. So
nice. I like that.
Yeah.
What about food options? So do you serve any kind of food in the tasting room, or if not, do people bring their own food?
Yeah, we don't serve food here, but we do have, charcuterie boats available that are prepared. Mm-hmm. And then also snacks. People can kind of assemble their own kind of charcuterie board here. And then on those patio nights, we do have a food truck that comes along. And we have options, Ladiosa across the street, so people can always get food to go and bring it here. So we're very open to that as well. We just don't serve our own food.
And then we talked about the events at the barrel room. So we know you've got big groups for doing those type of events. But what if there's a big group, let's say 8 to 10 people or bigger, that maybe want to come in to do a tasting?
Yeah.
Do you have any maximum group sizes, or do you recommend reservations ahead of time, walk-ins? What does that look like?
So 6 or more people, I recommend going online and doing a reservation. Okay. Also calling during our hours, and we'll set one up for you too. Okay. But yeah, 6 all the way up to 30 or so is pretty comfortable. We can handle most sizes. And we have that back Sagamore tasting room that we were talking about earlier that can hold comfortably anywhere from 2 people to 30 people. So yes.
So you got that room to, like Kim said, to expand it and open up at need.
Yeah. Big groups can go back there. Birthday parties, kind of whatever. 30 or under can fit very comfortably back there. So yeah.
Do you experience any kind of busy or slower seasons? What's the best time for people to come visit?
Honestly, any time of year is great for us for the tasting room. In terms of events and things we have going on, I would say the fall and winter are very busy for that. But for a tasting room, come anytime. We get a lot of tourists from all over the country that come during this time. They'll park their RV out front because we have a lot of parking. Yeah. So any time of year is great.
I want to ask you a little bit about your wine club. So I know we talked about that a few minutes ago, but tell me the details on you said you had 3 different types of clubs. So tell me about each of those clubs and kind of what they consist of.
Yeah, so our original wine club is called the Sagamore Club. We've had members in there that have been, members for probably over 10 years now. So original wine club members that are still a part of it. And they like to tell everyone, we're the original 10 people now. And we love it, yeah. But so that's our Sagamore Club. And it's 3 releases a year. So it is March, September, and December. They get 4 bottles, and it's a mixed kind of exclusive release that no one else has tried before. So typically it's 1 white, 1 rosé, or 2 whites, and then it's always 2 reds there as well. Okay. Very well priced. They get a discount on those wines. There's no extra fees. It's really, they just pay to take those bottles home with them or get them shipped to their house.
Okay.
And then our other club is the Block Select Club. It's all red wines. It's 3 bottles in that one. And it's twice a year. So it'll be April and November for that one. Okay. And we have local pickup parties for those 2 wine clubs. And so we have, for our Sagamore Club, a really great pickup party. We have live music, and we have people get to taste the wines. And then for our Block Select one, we have very similar. It's a little more intimate, and we have Kim and Spencer kind of talk about the wines, and it's a really nice club. For our third one, it's our favorites of the month, and it's a more subscription-based club, so people can choose. It's more for people that want a variety of things, and they have full control over it as well. So I pick 2 wines every single month, and from there, they have the capability to, edit a wine. If they don't want what I chose, they can add as much as they want. They can kind of swap, mix and match, which is really fun. And people can do that every single month, every other month, or every 3 months. So it's really nice. We have a good kind of mix of clubs.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice. I appreciate that. Can they sign up online? Can they do that here? How does somebody join the club?
Yeah, online is a great way to sign up. You can call us over the phone, or here in person is great too. And something I like to note is that members of those clubs, they get 15% off all wine, which is a great perk. And then they can come in here every single day and get a complimentary tasting. So, yeah, so for the Block and the Sagamore Club is for them and then 3 other people, so 4 total. And then for the favorites of the month is them and 1 other person. So, yeah, they can come every single day and enjoy a tasting. So, and they're not charged.
So what's your favorite thing about McPherson Cellars? Well, what's your favorite thing about working here, being a part of this community?
Yeah, my favorite thing about working here is every single day is different. It's a really unique job. It's a really cool place for Lubbock to have. It's like eclectic and unique, and a very, it's a unique job that every single day is completely different. I never really know. I mean, you can plan your day out, but you never know what's going to happen. I'm interacting with customers all day, every day, so you never kind of know what you're going to be asked, if you're going to take someone on a tour that you've never met before, and I meet a lot of great people, so that's what's my favorite part about this job. Yeah, I'd love to see anyone who has either heard of McPherson or enjoyed it in the past just to come in and enjoy a tasting in person. I'd love to host you. Feel free to email me, Maddie at McPherson Cellars, and I'd love to host you myself and walk you around and kind of give you the whole tour. Yeah, I'd love to do it. So anyone that's listening, yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us, Maddie.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so we're at the final question of the interview here. So, Kim, what, in your opinion, is the number one thing that you think really sets McPherson apart from all the other places that people could go visit that would really make a listener who's listening or watching this to say, that's on my list. I've got to get there and check that out?
Well, I know what I've heard.
Okay, well, tell me that.
One of the things you do in a tasting room, and when I come in here sometimes, and sometimes they don't like that because we open a bunch of wine and stuff. But the main thing I get is people come in here and they say, "We've heard you're the best in the state."
Yeah,
that's what they say.
That's a compliment right there.
We have heard all about McPherson. We've heard our sommeliers tell us, if you're going to have a Texas wine, get McPherson. Da, da, da. So I ask them that, and this is what I get. And I say, okay, so I feel that we are highlighting varieties up here on the high plains at work. That's our creed. That's sort of our motto. I like to make stuff that grows here. And that's what we've hung our name on.
Yeah.
And it's like I was going to tell you back east, I could say, I could tell my guy Andrew back there, I said, "Andrew, I got a great cabinet." He goes, "Don't bring it." I said, "Well, I've got an incredible Mervet. Bring it. I've got a Carignan. Bring it." I have a Counoise. This is a funny story.
Yeah.
The last time I went up to D.C., I took 3 bottles of Counoise with me.
Uh-huh.
And this Counoise turned out incredible. Anyway, so we go to this 1-star Michelin, and this guy, Bill Jensen, falls in love with it. He goes, "I'm going to put this on by the glass." And just like that. And so it's stuff like that you go, yeah, that's what we do.
Okay.
And I don't know. We do stuff. Do we make weird stuff? Yeah. But I'm more of an old world guy. So sometimes you could put a brown bag around two Sangioveses, one Italian, one mine. And I used to have to do that, and they couldn't pick out which.
Really?
And so that told me that we are on the path that we can do that here on the High Plains.
Absolutely.
So,
and you, with all of your experience, what grows best here and what doesn't grow best here. And so you're highlighting those things that growing 30, 40 miles right down the road, is where the fruit is. And now here it is in your bottle.
And that's why we did the Malbec. because I had one of my growers, my big grower, somebody backed out on the Malbec.
Yeah.
And he said, Kim, we got to pick this Malbec tomorrow. You want it? And I said, oh, well, I said, man. And Spencer goes, oh, come on, let's make a Malbec. And I said, all right. And it turned out unbelievable.
Well,
But I said, are you going to make it again? Probably not. I'll bet back in. So, yeah, but, it's only because Jerry Weaver, he's our dear friend, goes, Kim, hell, we're scheduled to pick this stuff tomorrow. I said, okay, Jerry, pick it.
Yeah.
So we did 6 tons, and
Well,
got good.
I'll be watching for your left bank coming out soon.
So that'll be in the wine club.
Oh, yeah, there you
That's
go.
a block series.
There we go.
So anyway, no, we're just plugging along. Wine sales overall nationwide are down,
Yeah.
and we need help.
Yeah.
We need young people to start drinking wines again.
Yeah.
We don't make low alcohol wines. I won't do that.
Yeah.
I had to draw the line. But we do make lower alcohol wines.
Sure.
And they need. I think young people need to know how to start enjoying meals with wine. Yeah. How much nicer it is.
That whole food pairing thing is big.
Oh,
huge,
it's unbelievable.
right?
Oh.
All right, whether you are young or whether you're old or somewhere in between, I guarantee you when you go to McPherson Cellars, you will find something that will tickle your taste buds, that you will really enjoy, and that you will walk away with several bottles of for sure. With his great winemaking experience, along with his winemaker Spencer, who has been with him since 2009, they are whipping up some incredible wines, and some of them are short-term releases like he talked about in the interview, so you better get those when you can, and some of those, the demand just keeps growing, and so he's making them more and more as you go. But he's got a lot of different things out there. And to find out more about them, make sure to check out their website. It's going to be www.mcphersonsellars.com. That's McPhersonscellars.com. And there you're going to find a wealth of information about McPherson before you go to kind of prepare you. So like they have an about tab where you can read more about Kim's philosophy on winemaking, kind of, again, more in depth as to how the winery started and all about their team. So you can read more about Kim and Maddie and Spencer and all the other people that really go in to make this winery something special. And while you're there, you can shop for some of those great wines to have them shipped directly to your door in case you can't get up there to Lubbock to visit them in person. By the way, you can also get some McPherson Cellars wines at Texas Wine Collective there in the Hill Country area outside of Fredericksburg, like I mentioned earlier and talked about in episode 45 of the podcast. So if you're more there and you can't get up to Lubbock, make sure to check out Texas Wine Collective to get more of McPherson Cellars. But if you wanted to order, again, you can see a bunch of the different wines that they have available on the website. And I'm going to tell you, Kim takes pride in being very competitive with his prices and trying to make his bottles affordable for the consumer. So you might be surprised at seeing some of the really affordable prices that he offers on some of these amazing wines that you can get from McPherson Cellars there. And you'll also see things on their website like their events. You're going to see things about their wine club, those 3 wine clubs that Maddie talked about. You'll be able to look into those, even join them right there on the website. So there's a lot of different things you'll get there. Make sure you check out that website before you go. And when you do go visit, whether it's at Texas Wine Collective or at the actual tasting room in Lubbock there at McPherson Cellars, remember to tell them that you heard about them on this podcast, Texas Under Vine. Okay, now after we packed up all the recording gear, Kim actually escorted my wife and I into the tasting room, and we sat down as Maddie poured us several different selections of those amazing wines we got to taste there. It was so funny because there were so many times where Kim might say, oh, I really want you to taste this one. And he would try to get Maddie to open up a bottle because it's not necessarily a bottle they keep open in the tasting room frequently. And she would just kind of humorously have to shake her head and say, okay, Kim, and go open up a brand new bottle because he wanted us to taste some of these awesome wines that that he has created there. And it was such a delightful experience. And, they even make a sherry. I'm such a sucker for sherry wine, and he has his own sherry. I had to buy a bottle of that as well. They was so good, the different things that he allowed us to taste. But when all was said and done, the one that I ended up walking away with was his McPherson Cellars Sagamore Vineyards Reserve Sangiovese. So this is the Sangiovese right from that Sagamore Vineyards that he talked about in the interview that his father planted, which interestingly in July was appointed by the state of Texas and the Texas State Historical Commission as a state historical place. So this incredible vineyard has now been honored and is a historical site in Texas where it really all began for a lot of the Texas modern wine industry. And this wine is everything that you might expect from a classic Italian Sangiovese with that really old world style. It's a pleasure to the palate and something you need to experience and buy that when you go in. I ended up making that my wine library bottle for this episode. Thanks, Kim. Well, my road trip continues as I head out to explore even more amazing and great venues throughout the state of Texas. We have so many fun wine destinations here, and I can't wait to bring you even more of those. But before I go, would you consider doing me a favor? So would you consider leaving me a rating and review for the podcast? You can do that wherever you get the podcast, whether you're listening to this on audio or watching the video on YouTube. Just go to those places and give a rating and review. It really does help me expand the podcast and beat that algorithm so that I can get this information before other wine consumers and wine fans who may not necessarily know as much about this great wine that we have here in Texas. And it's free to you. It just takes a minute. If you'll go out and leave that quick rating and review, we can get this podcast out to even more people who want to know about great Texas wine destinations. And if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget, like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Tell me if you've been to McPherson, whether that's at Texas Wine Collective or out in Lubbock. What is your favorite thing about McPherson Cellars? What are your favorite wines, your favorite experiences? Or if you haven't been yet, leave a comment and tell me what are the things that you're most looking forward to that you've heard about from this episode for when you do go to visit. And with that, my time is up. So don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and follow my socials to be notified anytime a new episode is released. And until then, happy trails and bottoms up, y'all.
Thanks for listening to Texas Under Vine. We strive to provide you with the best information about wine businesses all over Texas. Be sure to check out our website at texasundervine.com and follow us on our socials at Texas Under Vine to stay up on all the upcoming episodes. Please email us with any suggestions or feedback. Also, contact us if you're interested in donating, sponsoring, or advertising on the podcast, just to help us cover our expenses and bring even more great info to you in future episodes. Above all, travel safely, and most especially, drink responsibly.
Howdy, Vine Trippers. Did you know that I now have a merchandise store for Texas Under Vine? I only have a handful of limited items, but you can go check those out and wear your Texas Under Vine swag if you'd like to tell all your friends about the great wine locations we have here in Texas and maybe get them interested in the podcast as well. So there are things like t-shirts, there's a hoodie, there's a beanie, a ball cap, things like that. But one of the most exciting things I have right now is my limited time offer t-shirt. That's my Season 1 t-shirt. So this is your Tasting Through Texas Under Vine Season 1 t-shirt. It's only going to be available for a little short amount of time. On the back, it has all the different locations like a band tour t-shirt. So this is a limited time item and you can go out and get it now. And one of the great things about that t-shirt is a portion of every sale goes to support the Texas Hill Country Winery Scholarship Fund. So you know that by buying that t-shirt, you're also investing in the growing and flourishing of an amazing wine industry here in Texas and all of those people that are going to come and make it even better. Check out that merchandise store. It's on my website at texasundervine.com. Just go up to the top. You'll see the link for the merchandise store.